They get all of their law and their religion from the Talmud, which consists of 63 books of legal, ethical, and historical writings of the ancient rabbis, 22 BC to 500 AD. It's not from God, it's from other Jews. It was edited 5 centuries after the birth of Jesus. It is a compendium of law and lore, the legal code which forms the basis of Jewish religious law, and the book used in the training of rabbis. It is the very foundation of Jewish life. It is taught to Jewish children as soon as they are able to read. Rabbi Morris N. Kurtzer, President, Jewish Chaplains Association, Armed Forces, United States, spokesman for the American Jewish Committee, the VI, whom to kill the conceivable aspect of Jewish tome, much of which is dull, the syntax cumbersome. Herein the genetic schizophrenia of Jews is manifest. It is boastful, despondent, vindictive, vulgar, dishonest, hate-filled. The Talmud is concerned with almost every conceivable aspect of Jewish existence. Little is left to chance, from how to use seeds and herbs, to diet and sexual relations, when to lie, whom to kill, what goat to sacrifice, Kabbalism, numerology, necromancy, thaumaturgy, and obsessions with Hollywood-style perversions, body functions, etc. Nevertheless, throughout, the rabbis wove the thread of Jewish philosophy, Jewish law, and Jewish history. Here is the grist underlying the Jews' goal to rule the world, garner its wealth, and enslave the Gentiles, or who they call the non-Jews. It is this Luciferian credo that is changing the United States into an Illuminati-controlled, non-white nation, soon to become part of one mongrel world. And these are quotes right from their Talmud, the Jewish book of law. Gentiles prying into Jews' laws will receive death. Sanhedrin 59a. Do not save Christians in danger of death. Hilkathakum 10:1. Kill the best Gentiles. Sanhedrin 59. A woman who has intercourse with a beast is eligible to marry a priest. Yebamoth 59b. A maiden 3 years and a day may be acquired in marriage by coition. Sanhedrin 55b. Pederasty with a child below 9 years of age is not deemed pederasty. They are pedophiles, killers, and worse. Sanhedrin 54b through 55a. Jesus was illegitimately conceived during menstruation. Kala 1b, 18b. When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, less than 3 years old, it is as nothing. Kethuboth 11a through 11b. Sexual intercourse is permitted with a dead relative. Yabamoth. Let us all remember that we are a distinct nationality of which every Jew, whatever his country, his station, his shade of belief, is necessarily a member. Quote from Louis Dembitz Brandis, the Jew who is a U.S. Supreme Court. Michael Redkinson, a Jew, and Rabbi Isaac Weiss, two of the world's greatest authorities on the Talmud, collaborating on the celebrated tome, History of the Talmud, have this to say. The source from which Jesus of Nazareth drew the teachings that enabled him to revolutionize the world is the Talmud. Liars. It is the written form of that which, in the time of Jesus, was called the traditions of the elders of Zion, to which he makes frequent allusions. Redkinson and Wise, of course, are liars. They're Jews. The Talmud resounds with hatred for Jesus. Let's read the Talmud and find out. Jesus was conceived while Mary was menstruating. Kala 1b. Jesus is the bastard son of Pandira, a Roman soldier. Sanhedrin 67a. Jesus is in hell, punished by being boiled in hot semen. All Christians are boiled in shit. Libre Debid 37. And the New Testament clearly shows Jesus' disdain for the Pharisees, the Jews, and their oral Talmudic teaching. Quote, I know the blasphemy of them who say they are children of God, but are the synagogue of Satan. For ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, for there was no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it. And this quotes it being John chapter 8, verse 1. It's really John chapter 8, verse 44. But that's okay. They got the book right and the chapter, just not the verse. Under the Pharisees' direction, the temple had become the federal reserve system of its day. Christ drove the usurers from the temple with a snake whip, indirectly attacking the Pharisees' purse. That sealed his fate. The Anti-Defamation League of his day acted quickly, which was the Sanhedrin. Using standard procedures, they defamed Jesus, la infamy, to get the mob on their side. As centuries later they would defame Marie Antoinette, the Romanovs, Hitler, General MacArthur, McCarthy, et al. Then Jesus was framed by the Sanhedrin, who had him arrested, tried, sentenced, and crucified. Pope Paul, 1995 AD, denied the holy word, pronouncing that Jews had no part in the death of Jesus Christ. And here is the curse on the Jews for killing him. His blood be on us and upon our children. Matthew 27, 24 and 25. And here's Pontius Pilate stating, I am innocent of the blood of this just man. He didn't condemn him. The Jews did. Herod, the mob, the Pharisees. Sanhedrin. Jesus fornicates with his jackass. They are liars. The Jews have lied and will continue to lie, because they are of their father, the devil. The modern Jewish scribes and Pharisees, saying the same thing as their betters, or worse, from the Talmud. Destruction of the white race, and especially white Christians, has been a long-standing Jewish dream. This is why organized Jewry has orchestrated the immigration crisis in Europe and America, and also why Jews like George Soros are funding the transport of the refugees, and now the transgender Judeo-Homo agenda, into predominantly white Christian nations like Germany, Sweden, America, and the United Kingdom. In the Jewish mind, flooding predominantly white countries with brown and black-skinned people will serve many purposes, including evoking extreme violence with blacks against whites, destroying Christian culture and civilization, and producing interracial children that will serve to wipe out the hated white Israelite race. Here's a good quote from Abe Foxman. I speak of the death of the white race, the complete removal of all means of reproduction of the so-called Aryan race. Men, we now control the destiny of this race. It is now time to make sure the white race becomes extinct through miscegenation and having a virtually zero birth rate. We have all enjoyed the vision repeated all over this country every day of the last white children playing with their little dark children and knowing that they are being set up for their eventual destruction. We can ruin the ancient pure bloodline of an Aryan child by convincing him or her of the altruism of begetting interracial children. We must expose the race mixing of the urban centers to the suburbs and rural areas of this country. More aggressive programs to integrate these areas are now underway through HUD. It is worth any price to annihilate the next generation of white children. We want every white father to feel the sting of having their children marry colored males and produce biracial children. The task is to bring this minority together in such a way that it make it impossible for the legacy of whiteness to continue to reproduce itself. Abolishing the white race is so desirable that some may find it hard to believe that anyone other than committed white supremacists would oppose it. That's from former professor Noel Ignatiev from Harvard. The homogeneity of European nations is fundamentally against the interests of the Jewish people. We are at a critical turning point in history. The West is becoming more and more racially diverse, and soon the white race will be forced into submission. The future of the West is that of an ethnically diverse melting pot, where the evil divisions of race and white supremacy no longer reign. This is all thanks to the tremendous power of our social movements and institutions. This great change will be catalyzed by Muslim settlement. From the land of Israel, Jews will forever be a light unto the new monoracial world as guaranteed by G-D or Satan. That's from Rabbi Abaron Haviv at the World Jewish Congress Summit, 2011. The white race is the cancer of human history, Susan Sontag, Jewish terrorist activist. Israel Cohen, in his Racial Plan for the 20th Century, says, "We must realize that our party's most powerful weapon is racial tension. By propounding into the consciousness of the dark races that for centuries they have been oppressed by the whites, we can mold them to the program of the Communist Party. In America, we will aim for subtle victory, while inflaming the Negro minority against the whites. We will endeavor to instill in the whites a guilt complex for their exploitation of the Negroes. We will aid the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life, in the professions and in the world of sports and entertainment. With this prestige, the Negro will be able to intermarry with the whites and begin a process which will deliver America to our cause." Well, what's interesting is that the Jews controlled, financed, and benefited from over 71% of the transatlantic African slave trade. It was the Jews, not the whites. It is in the Jewish interest, it is in humanity's interest that whites experience a genocide. Until white children are burned alive, white women raped, mutilated, murdered, and all white men who have not been slaughtered watch powerlessly as their people are terrorized, only then will mankind be on a more equal footing, ready to discuss white privilege and the apparent chip on the shoulder that minorities have. Ishmael Levitz. Think you have a reason to want to expel these Edomite Jews from our nation and get them out of positions of power? They are actively killing us, folks. There are no two ways about it. There are no two ways about it. There's Richard von Coudenhove-Kalergi, founder and president of the Pan-European Union. The man of the future will be mixed race. The Eurasian Negroid race of the future will replace the diversity of peoples. Russian Bolshevism constitutes a decisive step towards this purpose, where a small group of communist spiritual aristocrats govern the country. The general staff of both are recruited from Europe's spiritual leader race, the Jews. From the European quantity people, the mass, two quality races rise up: blood aristocracy and Jewry. Both believe in their higher mission, of their better blood. The superiority of their spirit predestines them to become a main factor of the future nobility. It's all over the place, folks. It's not just from an ancient Talmudic text, it is right up to the current day.